Welcome everyone to the Synaxis podcast. I'm Jordan.
I'm Josh.
And today we are welcoming some very special guests. We've got Nick and Jeremy from the Cloud of Witnesses Journey with the Saints radio show. Radio podcast,
yes, radio podcast, everything.
Internet broadcasts.
All of the above, yeah.
Amen. Thank you for getting the title right. It's kind of a long title, and you just nailed it, Jordan. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, because actually, the only reason I did is because I searched Cloud of Witnesses. I searched Cloud of Witnesses, and a lot of other things came up, but then I was like, oh, there's the subtitle, Journey with the Saints, and then you guys pop right up. So.
That gets you right to it.
Also, if you just type in Cloud of Witnesses radio, you guys are the first that pops up.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's our tag. Yeah.
You guys make it easy on your followers. One word, Synaxis. You're good to go.
Yeah.
And it's Greek, so it's easy to spell. It's actually spelled how it sounds, you know. It's very, very wise, gentlemen.
Didn't even plan it that way. But I appreciate the compliment.
Of course. Can I just say I won't speak for Nick except for right in this moment. Thank you guys for having us on. We're really excited.
Yeah,
it's such a pleasure to have you guys.
Thanks for coming on, guys.
Yeah,
thank you.
So glad you guys agreed to do this with
us. Yeah, of course.
So I mean, listeners who don't know, the Cloud of Witnesses Journey with the Saints, Cloud of Witnesses Radio is awesome.
Cloud of Witnesses Radio is pretty easy way of saying it.
Yeah, that's the best one. I've been listening to it a lot lately. It's
nice.
The first one I listened to was the Saint Nestor one.
Nice.
I guess it's not the most recent one now. You guys just came out. I saw the Saint Nectarius uploaded.
Yeah. Just
this morning,
today.
Right?
Yeah. Blessed feast. Blessed feast.
Blessed feast, gentlemen.
Spraznikum. But yeah, the Saint Nestor one was great. So then I just went back to the beginning.
Wow.
And I think the last one I listened to was Pascha and the Gulags. Eastern.
Oh, nice.
Episode 10. Really fun. All of them are great.
And my first one was the Ecumenical Council one, and it was so good.
Yeah.
We should also probably do a quick rundown on what the channel is for people who don't know.
Please.
I was going to say, so you guys are the reason our numbers are jumping up. we have the Synaxis podcast.
No.
No.
Okay, a little bit. Yeah, we're adding to it. But you guys, I keep derailing it, but you guys were just on the Orthodox Squad podcast not too long ago. Yes. That was a great one too. I listened to that. That was awesome.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, those are great guys, and that was a really blessing. And right after that, it reminded me because Jordan, we talked about this 5 months ago.
Yeah,
maybe longer. I'm not even sure really.
I think it was 8. It was like right after our first one. We hadn't even released. We hadn't even released one yet.
Back in January. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
And then I think we just kind of all you guys got busy with your stuff. We were still kind of figuring out what we were doing with ours.
Right.
So finally now we're doing this. I'll get us started, Nick, and feel free.
Yeah.
Cloud of Witnesses Journey with the Saints is a podcast where we retell the lives of the saints in a radio drama style. So we kind of liken it to like the old school, 1920s, everyone's sitting around the radio, the sound effects.
Cowboys and Indians.
And Indians. Exactly.
That kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. And, really with the vision by God's grace to bring the stories to life, right? To kind of take it from the pages. I love how Nick always says it, so that the words lift off the page and hopefully, faithfully, bring the lives of the saints to the audience of 2023, right? Who are listening. Mostly people aren't reading as much. I hate to say it. And that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
I mean, it's brilliant. Somebody had to do it. I mean, the way you guys, the format, you stuck the landing so well.
Thank you.
Everything comes together. All the voice acting. Is it fully? I have so many questions, but
no, please
shoot away.
Sound effects, the music. I love the classical guitar and the chants and all the stuff you choose to put in there. It all comes together as this whole show, and then the way you guys
you're in it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
It's okay. That was my wife. She's just getting some photos and stuff.
Okay.
Hey, you
Nice.
guys, we're on Synaxis podcast. This is a big moment.
Yeah,
for
this is a
Simon.
big deal. This
Yeah,
is a
man.
big deal. Yeah. Yeah.
You guys
Trying
are
to
too kind.
refrain, asking for autographs and
Yeah,
everything.
exactly.
So
No autographs. No autographs, please.
Nick, would you to answer Jordan's question before Jordan derails us again? Let's stick to the question. I love that about the music.
Yeah.
Tell him about Ricky.
yeah, so Ricky, also known as Ezekiel, he is a good friend. He's unfortunately we lost him to St. Andrews up in Riverside. Father Josiah reeled him in. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, he was actually living up there, and then he decided to just make the switch, because we're pretty far away from there. But anyways, yeah, he is a great classical guitarist. He can basically, if it has strings, he can play it. So yeah, we've recorded a lot of tracks from him. Not everything is from him, but some of our intro and outro music, and also some of, like you said, some of our background music for some of our episodes, has him. And we always try to pull whatever talent, God has, in front of us. We just try to pull, we have, Christian Farage. He did a lot of the, Byzantine chanting for some of the episodes.
Nice.
So yeah, it's really a great way to bring everyone in and all the talents that oftentimes are just right under our nose,
So
It
true.
really
If I
is.
can just- oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It
Jordan.
just I just want to say it comes together so well. It's such a cozy, wholesome. It really does feel like it could be just like a family gathering around the radio. And I wanted to say, you brought up Father Josiah. I saw you announce that you guys got picked up by Patric Nectar.
Yeah.
Thanks be to God.
By God's
That's
grace,
so
someone
awesome.
reached out to him, and providentially they were trying to start up, like a kids channel. And it's funny that you say that it's family oriented, because it's not like we were trying to make anything childish or kiddish, but kind of the format lends itself to being kind of a classic in the sense that
Children seem to enjoy it. They seem to enjoy the sound of, like you said, the sound effects stick out.
Yeah.
And I think that scape, the kind of the elevated drama of it, right? The voices are always a little bit over the top. You kind of have to in voice acting, we've learned. And so even though we've never our intended audience really is us, right? It's other adults, because we don't want to create children's content, because we think this is kind of a higher level, but kind of like Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, when you make good high quality content for adults, children will often enjoy it as well, and will gain they'll glean a little bit here and there from it.
I mean, it's just compelling storytelling, and that everybody can enjoy that.
Yeah, I couldn't help but think as I listened to it that, because I'm recently married and intending to have children, so as I was listening to it, I was like, this is going to be perfect for a child. Every episode I've heard so far, I was just in awe at how good the voice acting was, how good the music and the chanting was. I'm blown away at how good it is. I'm sure you guys are gonna blow up on YouTube. It's such a niche little, it's a niche section of Orthodox YouTube, but it's perfect.
Yeah. That's great. Thank God. It's super humbling to hear that, because there's definitely a learning curve that we've experienced and that we are experiencing, but by God's grace, God's just opening doors, whether it's talent that we never knew was right under our nose. Like with this St. Nectarios episode, we had some friends from some other local churches join us, and these guys were great. Our friend,
they had never done it before.
Yeah,
they literally had never done it before.
Yeah,
and they were really amazing.
Our friend Simeon, he's half Romanian, half Greek. So we were like, this is perfect, because the episode, I don't know if you guys have listened to it, but it's about Saint Nectarios miraculously appearing in Romania. So
spoiler alert.
Yeah, sorry. You can bleep that part out if you want, but anyways,
if you want to
it's
see
still a great story. But the fact that he's half Greek, half Romanian, and the story is both in Romania and of a Greek saint, it was just perfect. And he did great.
It's personal to him. Yeah. That's awesome. And I just love the format of it. Because you guys start off with a nice little intro between the two of you, and you guys have great rapport. You're good hosts, bringing us in, welcoming us to this program.
Because we don't get along in real life at all.
Off the screen, we're like,
And then we get to hear.
Tears of Nick's wife is always breaking us up. Stop hitting each other, you guys. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
it's good.
Sorry, I shouldn't joke so much.
No, you're good.
Can I say I love what you guys are saying. It's so gracious of you guys. We really do appreciate. We're so glad that you enjoy it. it has been really the heart and soul of Cloud of Witnesses has been the volunteer voice actors.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you right now, if it was just me and Nick, if it was just me and Nick and Tirza, we could not do this. We just couldn't.
Yeah.
And we have discovered, as Nick was pointing out, we've discovered in our small, San Diego Orthodox community, all of these talented voice actors. We even got a guy, his name's John. He has professional experience doing voice acting.
Yeah.
He just happened to be attending our parish.
Yeah.
What are
He wasn't
some
even
of the voices?
attending
What are some of the characters that he played?
Yeah, so if you look up the Saint Ephrem, the New Martyr Ephrem episode, he's New Martyr Ephrem. He also plays Saint Herman in the little short dedicated to Saint Herman.
Nice.
And I'm trying to think now.
Did you listen to the Saint Febronia episode by any chance yet?
I haven't. I don't think I've gotten that far.
When you get a chance, because his role in that is powerful.
Nice.
He's really good.
He's a very good. Sorry. Off screen, I was getting distracted. I apologize.
Yeah. She was just reminding us that he played Arius.
Oh,
he played Arius in the first Ecumenical Council, so he's the one who gets the slap. So
that's exactly
nice.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't gotten that far.
Yeah, he's got that great voice. He can do accents, and he really gets into it.
Yeah.
But even besides his professional ability, a lot of all the rest of them, even though they don't have professional experience, just raw talent. Joshua, Micah and Dom, and I'm just thinking of the names that they've got these great voices. George, the other night.
Yeah.
It's been awesome. Hannah, we have female actresses as well who same thing, no experience, you guys, and they just jump in, and the next thing you know, we're literally getting blown away. Our eyes are wide, going, "You're nailing it." You're nailing it. So thanks be to God.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you guys, you went over it a little bit, or actually in some detail on the Orthodox Squad podcast, but I did want to ask you, for people who haven't heard, like, how did this come about? Well, what started this whole thing?
Yeah, that's always a fun story to tell. And a lot of people ask it because, like you guys were saying, it's a very niche, a very unique idea. And the way that it happened was a synthesis of two ideas, which was when Jeremy and I met a little over a year ago, we both had a passion for the lives of the saints and orthodoxy in general, but Orthodox literature and just everything about the church.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeremy came to me saying we should start a book club. And then we're like, well, it's hard, just the time and getting everyone together. And then it was the question of maybe we could do audiobooks. So people, we could read the book and then it could be available to others. And then for me, it kind of dawned on me when he texted me.
This is cool.
I remember I was coming home from work, and when I was driving, he had texted me. Well, before I was driving, he texted me about the audiobook. And while I was driving, it's like a light bulb moment. I had this play that I had written years and years ago, and it was on our first episode, The Life of St. Peter the Merciful, which is very much like Scrooge from A Christmas Carol. And it was such a good story. And when my friends and I were reading it, we're like, this has got to be like a play or something, just because it's so good.
Yeah.
And
Dude, Jordan, this is when Nick was up in Alaska. We'll have to talk about that later.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about that too.
Yeah. So we turned it into a play. This is years ago. And then all of a sudden, right when I was driving, it was a light bulb moment. He had brought up audiobooks, and I was like, well, what if we did the play, but audio? And then all of a sudden it was like, that's a really cool idea. And then everything else was God's providence, literally just opening doors. It was like the gear, all the gear and equipment, some of the stuff that we're using. Actually, this one's ours, but basically, if you want to tell that part.
Yeah, exactly. Just to kind of take it right from there. All of this, you guys, I said it on the Orthodox Squad podcast, but I'll say it again. I say it all the time. So many miracles to our minds, or to my mind, minor miracles, full miracle, whatever you want to call them, happened again and again to make this podcast possible. Really, even that we're here right now talking to you both. at the same time, Nick was like, I've got this play. And at first, Nick, you remember, we were like, oh, we'll just act it out. Like, how fun would that be? We'll act it out, you know, we'll do it at church or something. But then we're like, wait, we could record it. We could record the play, right? And then that slowly morphed into, because, morphed into what we're talking about now, but because, you guys, this is kind of the miracle part. At the same exact time, like within the same week and a half,
within days,
when we're talking about all these ideas, I work at a law firm. The partners of the firm came to me and they said, Jeremy, we want you to build us a podcast studio. And I was like, absolutely. Yes. So I love this kind of stuff. I've always kind of been interested in this type of thing. So I literally just was, you know, with the firm's budget, building this podcast studio in the law firm. And so, of course, I have to use the equipment, I have to learn how to use it. So it was a perfect vehicle. I had to.
Yeah, you got to practice somehow.
Exactly. So we were using the borrowed equipment in those early stages, and for quite a while, thanks be to God, using that equipment, very high quality equipment, to get this podcast up and running. And now, thanks to amazing people and people that are supporting this podcast, we are slowly getting our own equipment, so that we won't have to be borrowing equipment anymore, which is a huge blessing. So
that's great.
Anyways, that's the story of Cloud of Witnesses' journey with the saints as to how it all came together.
It's been a journey ever since.
Yeah.
It's really been a journey.
I mean, that sounds like such a great initiation into it. Like, it's like, this is what you need to be doing. Like, here are the implements for your, this is a good idea. Follow it.
It really felt like that. It felt like the gear just fell out of the clouds. It was like the moment the idea came together, that synthesis, all of a sudden gear just right in our laps. It was crazy.
Wow. Beautiful.
Can I tell you guys a cool moment that we didn't talk about on the other podcast?
Please do.
The Synaxis.
An exclusive.
Yeah, we'd love that.
I'm just curious if Nick and Cheers will remember this.
Yeah.
It was such a community event when we decided to do this. And you remember when we decided, hey guys, we need a name. We didn't have a name yet.
That's
we have this group chat. We're in Signal, our whole community from our parish. And I don't know, whatever there was in there, 50 people in there, 40 people, however many were in there at the time. And we were like, guys, we need a name for this podcast. And everyone's bouncing around ideas. We're all in the chat, people are giving names. And it turned out that there was a bit of a
tug of war.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Some people wanted this. And as you can imagine, you get a lot of opinions. And I was kind of on one side, and, Nick and Cheers, I had some ideas. And Nick's sister had the idea of putting them together. And so that's how you have Cloud of Witnesses, Journey with the Saints. Because it really was putting some ideas together. Yeah. And it was brilliant.
We had a vote. Jeremy's a big Lord of the Rings buff, and he wanted he wanted Fellowship of the Saints. And I was like, that sounds really familiar.
Hey, that's not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, Lord of the Saints. But but yeah, our friend, so if you listen to our first episode on St. Peter the Merciful, he was actually the one that he was converting. He was like getting baptized within days, and he was like, you know what about Cloud of Witnesses from Hebrews? And we're like, oh, that's a really good one. And then we wanted Journey with the Saints. And then we were like, what about, my sister was like, what about Cloud of Witnesses, Journey with the Saints? And we had a vote and everyone liked it.
Perfect.
It's kind of long, but it is very descriptive and it's very evocative. So.
Exactly. Yeah. It really is perfect. Shorten it to Cloud of Witnesses Radio. It works. Which is
kind of a nice way to, segue it or do hashtags, because it's a little bit shorter. Our email is cloudofwitnessesradio, at gmail.com. So you can shorten it up a little bit by going to the radio.
And it lets people know that it's audio based primarily.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's very informative.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it all came together so well, and somebody had to do it. And I'm really glad it was you guys. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm always praying that we can stay faithful to what God's given us, because it feels like God just gave us, handed us the torch while we're running. It's like, okay, it's been hard. Sometimes we're throwing the tracks down as the train's going, you know what I mean? But
sometimes you mean all the time.
Yeah, basically all the time. Yeah. But I mean, it's a journey with the saints. It's kind of like, I imagine it's like Peter walking on water. You don't know what the next step's going to be like, but we just keep on going, and God makes the connections.
Yeah.
So
Trying to do it in faith.
I'm curious how do you guys come up with the saints or the stories that you're going to come up with or that you're going to produce?
So we use a number of sources. As you guys probably know, as your audience, I'm sure knows, there are stories of lives of the saints in a lot of places all over online. One of the big ones that we've used, certainly for these early episodes, has been the prologue of Orid. You guys are familiar with that? The 2 volume,
of course, yeah. St. Nikolai.
Yes, and it's absolutely amazing. It's beautiful. I think what I do, and Nick, happy to hear yours as well. I'll often start there, and then I'll typically go online and try to get more, because as you know, it doesn't always necessarily give the entire story in the prologue. And I'll if there are other sources, I'll try to find more information out in other sources as well. But really, then for me, that's one of my primary sources. Nick, what about you? Got a few more sources?
Oh yeah, one of my favorite ones, other than the prologue or any of the other Synaxarians, like the Black One, which is like a 6 series or something like that, 6 volume series, or the large one, which we don't own, but sometimes there's a library that we can use. But one of the best ones is the OCA.org. I don't know if you guys know, but you can get all the daily readings, daily lives of the saints. It's a huge collection what they have. So that's a great resource.
And how do you choose which saints you're gonna write about?
Yeah. Sometimes it's just as simple as, people like in the Signal chat, they'll be reading something. They're like, this could be an episode. Or, people with this group chat were oftentimes sharing lives or miracles or different things about the church or theological questions, stuff like that. It's kind of like what would you call that? Online. It's like a forum, but just for our community.
It's like crowdsourcing. Almost ideas in some ways.
Yeah, exactly. So there's just like a conveyor belt of ideas that is kind of constantly coming to us. And then oftentimes what we try to do, though, is line it up with the calendar, like with St. Nectarius's. We got it right on his feast day, which is great. But it doesn't always work like that, just based on, it's a lot of work from finding a good story, finding someone that has the time and the inspiration to turn it into a script, which is a lot of work, and then to execute it, and then the post edit and all that. So sometimes, if it's just a good story, we'll just release it. And then other times, though, especially with like the bigger saints and stuff, we try to make it land on the, close
as possible around the time of the feast day. One of the interesting, parts of this, we did some research, for what it's worth. We're probably putting in anywhere from 11, 12 hours on the short end to as many, maybe 15, 16, 17 hours of work per episode.
Yeah.
And so it's, as Nick was saying, it's a lot, and it takes a lot of time and planning. And so one thing that we're still learning to do, and by God's grace, we're hopefully getting better over time, is, being organized, planning ahead, knowing a month or two in advance, hey, we're going to do, these saints in that month. But the reality is, as Nick was pointing to, sometimes it's just like we're up on a deadline. We've promised our audience, if you will, first Tuesday and the third Tuesday of every month. And by God's grace, so far, we've been faithful to it. Today, we cheated a little bit because we wanted it to come out on St. Nectarius's feast day. So we pushed it back 2 days to a Thursday.
But basically 2 episodes a month is the idea. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. And all that work you put into it really shows, for sure. Yeah.
Thank God. It's a labor of love. It's a labor of love.
I can tell.
It shows.
Yeah. It comes through.
Thank you.
I was wondering, you don't have to, but is there an upcoming one that you can maybe preview, or are you guys even aware of the next one you're going to do?
Yeah. We've got a couple.
We always, going back to throwing the tracks down as you're on the train, we try to keep at least a couple in our back pocket, or else, it'd be really bad if there's a dry spell or people are busy, but
someone gets sick or something.
Yeah. Right now we have a couple. So we recorded, gosh, I'm trying to think. So there's this one story of a certain Saint Titus from the Kiev caves, around the 12th century, I believe, maybe 13th century. And it's a really interesting, kind of a short story. They don't have his whole life, but what his story is famous for, he was a Hiero monk. and he was really good friends with this hierodeacon at the Kiev caves. And for some reason, it doesn't explain why, but there was like a sharp contention between them where they just hated each other, just really, really hated each other. And by God's providence, Saint Titus, the priest, the deacon's name is Evagrius. Saint Titus, the priest, he is on his deathbed. He gets seriously deathly ill.
They've been fighting for years. They never reconciled. They held grudges.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, as he's on his deathbed, he asks for Evagrius, right? And literally the monks, the other brothers had to wrestle him in. They had to drag him in. And Evagrius, the deacon, he did not want to be there. And he falls on his feet, he falls on his knees from his deathbed. And he's begging at Deacon Evagrius's feet, please forgive me. Gosh, I'm ruining the story. Anyways, should I tell the whole thing?
Well, yeah, it's kind of out already.
Yeah. It's true.
You guys really are getting a sneak peek.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's so fun when it comes to life. Yeah. But anyways, I'll just tell the story. It's online anyways. But so what happens is the deacon, he refuses. He just refuses outright.
Hardened heart.
Yeah.
Hardened heart.
What he literally says, and we added it in the script, he says, I refuse to be reconciled to you in this world and the next. He literally yells that at the top of his lungs.
And that's from the source. That's from the source. He said that.
And at that moment, he falls dead. And then the priest, Titus, he gets better all of a sudden. And they go over after he falls over dead, and he's like rigid, complete rigor mortis. They say that he was like on his hands and knees, and his eyes and mouth were like gaping open, like just really kind of ghastly, the whole thing, right? And they ask him, Father Titus, what happened? And he said that when he was on his deathbed, he saw demons on his left laughing at him, right? And then on his right, he saw his guardian angel weeping for the state of his soul. And at that moment, he saw another angel with a fiery lance that was coming to kill him. And that's probably why he was sick or something along those lines, right? Because it's all spiritual, this language, this metaphor, whatever it means. Whatever he saw.
Yeah, this vision.
Exactly. And as that angel was coming to kill him, he asks for Evagrius in his last moments to ask to be reconciled. And when the angel sees that, he softened his heart, asking for real forgiveness, but the deacon refuses. That's when the angel chose to strike him dead. And then that angel, the same one who slayed the deacon, helps him up, and then he was healed. Wow. So yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And it's so convicting too. These stories, absolutely. That reminds me of something earlier when we were talking about like how children love this and how it works as just compelling storytelling, because there's like the veneer of like the voice acting, and it's obviously appealing in a fun, lighthearted way, but there are these deep, convicting, edifying things in there because of the source material.
Yeah,
exactly.
And,
exactly.
That's why it's so brilliant. And
Can
there's
I talk about that a little bit.
Yeah,
Jordan?
please do.
Because I think because Nick and I feel like we're so blessed because this podcast, it's all there for us, right? The lives of the saints, it's already there.
There's such good stories.
It's like the gold is already in the cave. We just gotta cut it out, right?
Yeah.
We just have to just take it out. It's already there.
Yeah.
The stories are there. The faith is there. The miracles are there.
Mm-hmm.
You said, Jordan, you just recently listened to you said it was this Saint Nikon. Is that right? Is that the one?
Saint Nestor.
Oh, sorry. Saint Nestor.
Yeah.
What an incredible story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. You have this almost, as we said, like this retelling of David and Goliath.
Mm-hmm.
Again, hopefully we're not spoiling all of our episodes here. No one's going to listen to Cloud of Witnesses anymore after this podcast, guys.
No, they're going to listen to it after.
The journey is the part of it. You can know the
journey. That's a fact.
Yeah.
But just to highlight that, and this is what we want to do. We want the focus to be on the saints, on their faithfulness, right? Because that's really what this is all about. We just want to hopefully just be the conduit, be the vehicle to bringing it to this style, this retelling. But really it's all there for us. We don't have to do much than maybe shine it up, add some sound effects, and there you go.
I love it. Yeah, I'm so glad you guys are doing this. And it's just,
thank God.
There's something I think about usually in the context of our project, but I mean, it's just, I just love, I want to see a huge saturation of Orthodox stuff. And like, there were so many people doing great things.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking about this quote that is attributed to Saint Nikolai Velimirovich, but I haven't like followed it back to its source, so I'm not sure. Could be an internet thing, but he says something like, let your orthodoxy be completely traditional, but let your dissemination of it be totally modern.
Interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah, I love it. And that's exactly what you guys are doing.
Well, that's exactly what you guys are doing. I'm really excited to talk about Synaxis podcast. But because I love what you just said, Jordan. That's because that's what we've talked about a lot.
Yeah.
We've spent a lot of time talking about this because, it's not an automatic answer, right? There's a lot of people, I think, who maybe very rightfully, think, hey, you know what? Stay away from social media. It's evil and it's going to corrupt you. And there's a lot of truth to a lot of those things.
Oh, yeah.
But I really love, was it Father Peter Hears? I'm trying to remember now this quote. The idea was, I think you said it, Nick, which is, we know the demons and the devil is already in media, social media is already out there.
Yeah.
So the question is are we just going to, in a sense, let them have it?
Right. Cede the territory.
Yeah.
Thank you, John. That's exactly it. Or do we bring in Orthodox Christian content? Sorry, I probably butchered it how you had said it, Nick.
I don't think I said that.
Oh, really?
Well, there's I think I know there's a quote. I was going to say this one too. I think it's Metropolitan Philaret of Moscow said, if Christians don't use the internet, only demons will.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Jordan. You didn't say that?
No, I didn't. No, but that's great. It's so
great.
True. It's so true. What I think is interesting about our platform is that the way we tell the stories is that we're so, in all senses of media, we're just so saturated. To actually take away visuals in one sense is almost like we're a stepping stone between the dusty book on the shelf that should be read and a really flashy Hollywood movie, right? In the sense that you kind of have to slow down. You have to focus yourself, so it's nice in that sense because it allows you to slow down and kind of enjoy that nostalgic feeling of sitting in front of a radio, right? That classic, image of children or the whole family standing around one of those big, tall box radios, There's something nostalgic and something wholesome about being able to engage with material.
Use your imagination.
Exactly. Yeah. That engagement we've become so passive to a certain extent that even, it can be difficult. We can become so dense because of that, So
yeah,
anyways.
No, that's exactly right. And thank you for remembering that quote, Jordan. That's exactly it. It's a heavy responsibility at the same time, doing that, being out here, even what we're doing right now, gentlemen, there's, I pray all the time that anything I say, Nick and I talk about this as well. It's like, I'm not a theologian. I'm not a scholar. I'm not clergy. I'm none of those things. And so, God forbid I say something that stumbles somebody or is in any way, off kilter. And I pray for God's grace to kind of keep me from that, you know?
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I think, I think you guys said a little bit on the Orthodox Squad podcast about like, hopefully, and I definitely agree with this. Like, hopefully that you'll bring more people to the faith with this.
That's our prayer.
But I think another really important thing is just like reinforcing people who are already in the faith and people who like might get distracted by something on the internet, but then, the new Cloud of Witnesses just came out. I'll listen to that instead of, something less edifying, maybe even unhealthy, which I mean, I definitely find myself in that all the time. So I think that I think I have that in mind with our stuff, but we'll talk about that later too.
Yeah. Well,
no, please.
Oh, I was just gonna say what's so dangerous about the internet at this point is that it's been so streamlined to be addictive. Even YouTube Shorts, all these things, like it's been designed to use up your dopamine, right? And to use up and to just break your will, So it goes back to the quote that you guys were saying. We've got to use the internet to fight against it. Use the examples of the saints and the grace of orthodoxy and Christianity to fight against that.
Yeah. Well, that really is ultimately, that is the goal of our podcast, is to bring edifying content to exactly those people, Jordan. By God's grace, I pray they are, instead of whatever they're going to watch, they're going to come and watch, maybe listen to an episode of Cloud of Witnesses.
The examples of the saints are so edifying and strengthening. It's crazy. It's like a spiritual IV to have such a shining example. And there's such a multitude, a cloud of witnesses, that to just tap into a little bit of it is just so strengthening and inspiring.
It really is. Yeah. And so I was thinking about, there's so much great Orthodox content. Some of it is really combative, and I like that. I think it has its place for sure.
Yeah.
But there was a comment I saw somewhere. My head is full of like internet snippets. I don't even know where they came from.
Yeah.
But
yeah, exactly.
I think it was
you're in the right line of work, Jordan. You're in the right place for that.
it was probably some Reddit post or something, but it was this guy who he said he'd been atheist his whole life, and Christianity never really appealed to him, especially when people were trying to convince him that it was true. But it was him seeing people who just lived it out and weren't trying to change anybody's mind that finally led him to convert to it. And he was like, just keep doing what you do, and that will bring people to the faith. And I think you guys you're doing that. God bless you for it.
Thank you. Likewise.
Likewise.
Is there anything that you came here like hoping you could say? Do you have anything you want to share?
Maybe we wouldn't mind kind of giving our contact info, to your audience.
Of course. Yeah, please.
At the end.
There is maybe while
this has been a great conversation. We really enjoyed it.
I think so too. Yeah. I did want to ask, we touched on it a little bit at the beginning. You guys got picked up by Patric Nectar. What is that going to look like for you?
That's right. We didn't really get to talk about that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nick.
So right now, like we were saying before, they're wanting help, and they're looking for content for this kids channel that they made. And I think it goes back to everything we're saying. We need edifying content. So I think they're trying to, Patric Nectar is obviously huge. So now they're trying to have something specifically for parents to give their children. And right now, they're brand new. They literally started on the 1st of November. And they saw our stuff. Father Josiah saw our stuff.
Really amazing, you guys.
That's so cool.
Another one of those miracles we were talking about. Remember we talked about the miracles that have kept us going? That was one of them. He literally listened, and it was actually the Saint Cecilia episode that he sent to his team and said, hey, listen to this. We want to partner with these guys. How amazing is that?
It's great.
Yeah, it's a huge blessing. So that's, we're hoping to get some cross-pollination from that nectar. So, and God willing, it'll be a really good, I think it is a good partnership. It's just so early right now, I think it could branch out into more. But I think that this is a great stepping stone, for more partnership through them and maybe with others, other contacts. So
yeah,
beautiful. Yeah, I love it. So yeah, tell people where they can find you.
Absolutely. So we're Cloud of Witnesses, Journey with the Saints, available everywhere podcasts are available. So wherever you listen to podcasts, you should be able to find us. Please, we always say, like our content if you don't mind, subscribe, all the usual things, punch that like button, etc.
Yeah. Destroy that like button.
Smash that like.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Nick, you want to talk about the YouTube page and all that?
Yeah. So if you look up, like you guys already said, if you look up Cloud of Witnesses Radio or Cloud of Witnesses Journey with the Saints, you guys will find our channel. We're also on Spotify, but the thing is, we're also trying to branch out into our own podcast like this, interviews, other talks, learning about the saints. So there will be a visual aspect to our podcast coming soon. So maybe YouTube would be the best destination to check us out. But we're not really sure. We're still kind of sprouting out of the ground. So we might go this way, we might go that way. We're just in it for the ride.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful. I can't wait to see where it goes.
Absolutely. Yeah. If your audience is all interested, they can email us at cloudofwitnessesradio@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Jordan, Joshua, thank you guys for having us on. This has been awesome. I'm hoping this is just the first of many, many times. Let's continue our conversations. This is great.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Were we thinking about changing gears and maybe we kind of interview you guys?
Let's do it. Thanks for listening to the Synaxis podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation and would like to hear more, head on over to the Cloud of Witnesses Journey with the Saints YouTube channel for the second part of this discussion. Also, I wanted to remind everyone about the Cloud of Witnesses Radio Patreon, where you can support their work. God bless.